None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. This phrase, written by the philosopher Goethe almost 200 years ago, continues to challenge us today. We live in a society that prides itself on being free. But are we really that free? Many people believe that because we don't live in a totalitarian dystopia like George Orwell's 1984, we are, in fact, free. But what if our reality more closely resembles another dystopia, described by Aldous Huxley in Brave New World? In this book, published in 1931, Huxley envisioned a future where social control is not exerted through fear, but through pleasure. Where people are kept in a constant state of distraction and satisfaction, unable to perceive the chains that bind them. To understand how pleasure can be used as a tool of control, we need to look at the work of B.F. Skinner. A psychologist and researcher of the 20th century, Skinner was a pioneer in the study of operant conditioning, a method of shaping behavior using rewards and punishments. In Skinner's experiments, rats were conditioned to act in a certain way in exchange for rewards. Positive and negative reinforcements, when administered correctly, produced behaviors that could last a lifetime. From these experiments, Skinner believed that human behavior could also be programmed, and that a society based on this conditioning would be a scientific utopia. But is this true? Or are we, in reality, increasingly close to a society where people become obedient and happy in their own servitude? Analysis of Huxley and pleasure as a tool of control. In Brave New World, Huxley imagines a society where oppression is replaced by pleasure as a tool of control. Unlike the brute force of authoritarian regimes, this model of society offers satisfaction and indulgence to keep citizens obedient. For Huxley, true power does not lie in repression, but in keeping people distracted and satisfied enough to never question their conditions of life. It's a subtler and, paradoxically, more effective control, as it transforms submission into something voluntary, accepted, and even desired. The central idea is that by drowning citizens in pleasures, the state can suppress the human need for freedom and meaning. Instead of violence, they are offered constant stimuli, diversions, drugs, sensory pleasures. This creates an apathetic society where no one feels the need to rebel, as they already have what supposedly satisfies them. Huxley calls this condition a painless concentration camp. This is the concept that a person doesn't need to be in a cell to be a prisoner. It is enough that they are so entertained and satisfied by the distractions around them that they don't even realize their own condition. The role of soma and pharmacological pleasure. One of the greatest symbols of this pleasure-based control in Brave New World is soma, a drug that citizens consume daily. This substance offers an holiday from reality, a temporary escape from difficulties, ensuring that no one feels sadness, anger, or frustration. Depending on the dosage, soma can offer anything from a light euphoria to deep sleep or even pleasurable hallucinations. It eliminates intense emotions and leads citizens to a state of complete apathy, where they become highly suggestible and therefore easier to control. By abolishing pain and dissatisfaction, soma prevents people from feeling the need for change. Instead of facing problems or questioning the status quo, they accept life as it is, anesthetized by an artificial happiness. Thus, the use of soma prevents revolt and maintains social equilibrium, as there is no suffering that would lead to the desire for transformation, promiscuity, and the destruction of deep relationships. Another crucial element in constructing this society of control is the promiscuity promoted by the state. From a young age, citizens of Brave New World are taught to embrace the concept that everyone belongs to everyone else, a slogan that encapsulates the idea that any type of exclusive emotional bond is harmful. In this system, monogamy and family are abolished. Instead, each individual has unrestricted sexual freedom and is encouraged to engage with many partners. Love, loyalty, and commitment are discarded as outdated and limiting. This programmed promiscuity serves two purposes. First, it prevents the formation of deep bonds between citizens, making them emotionally isolated and more vulnerable to control. Without genuine connections, no one feels the need to protect or fight for someone else. Everyone is just an interchangeable part within the system. Second, it promotes constant gratification of impulses, preventing people from developing higher desires or interests. Trapped in cycles of immediate pleasure, they become so focused on sensory rewards that they don't stop to reflect on the emptiness of this existence. Entertainment and constant distractions. In addition to soma and promiscuity, Huxley presents entertainment as an essential tool for social control. In Brave New World, the state provides a variety of endless activities and entertainment to ensure that people's minds are constantly occupied. Sensory movies, games, and stimulating spectacles are offered so that there is never a lack of distraction for the population. Free time, which could be used for reflection, is filled with activities that keep people busy and satisfied, but intellectually numb. By flooding citizens' minds with fascinating stimuli, the state prevents them from having time to question the system or develop critical thoughts. This incessant distraction is a tactic for mental weakening. It stops people from delving into existential or social issues. They live immersed in a bubble of relevance, where there is only room for the superficial and ephemeral. Subjective control and the painless concentration camp. The sum of these elements, drug use, constant sexual gratification, and superficial entertainment, creates a scenario in which the individual no longer seeks meaning in life or questions their circumstances. Rather than trying to free themselves, they feel content, immersed in pleasures provided by the state. It is what Huxley called a painless concentration camp. A situation where people remain imprisoned without realizing it, or worse, without wanting to escape from this prison. This model of control is especially dangerous because it turns slavery into something desirable, where the pursuit of freedom seems irrelevant or even incomprehensible. In a society where pleasure is guaranteed, freedom loses its value. If we transpose the concept of soma to today's world, we find clear parallels in phenomena like social media, processed foods, and pornography. These three modern tools, much like soma in Brave New World, function as forms of rapid and intense gratification, offering relief and distraction from the pressures of daily life. Each of them, in its own way, fulfills the role of a temporary escape, preventing many from confronting deeper issues or seeking a purpose beyond immediate pleasure. Social media as digital soma. Social media, for example, captures our attention by offering small hits of dopamine each time we receive a notification, like or comment. Like soma, they provide a kind of holiday from reality, where one can temporarily escape their anxieties and feel validated. But this validation is temporary and superficial, creating a cyclical dependency that reinforces continued use. Over time, this routine of constant access prevents people from having time for reflection or building meaningful relationships in the real world. Individuals remain distracted, socially conformed, and too busy to think critically about their own lives or the system in which they live. Processed foods, instant gratification, and apathy. Processed foods also play a role similar to that of soma, as they are designed to offer quick gratification, with intensified flavors and almost addictive effects. Just as soma acts as a sedative in Huxley's society, processed foods provide a momentary experience of comfort and pleasure that's easily accessible. By turning to them, we avoid seeking healthier foods and balanced nutrition, which demand time, attention, and conscious choices. This addiction to artificial flavors and the convenience of processed foods creates a population that, besides being physically compromised, is mentally conditioned to prioritize instant satisfaction over long-term well-being. Pornography, an emotional and sensory escape. Pornography represents another modern pillar of this multifaceted soma, offering a quick path to sexual gratification, disconnected from any real emotional bond. With no need for deep relationships or commitments, pornography creates a way to satisfy sexual impulses quickly and privately. This ease of access, combined with the intensity of sensory response, can lead to addiction, trapping individuals in a cycle of use that distracts and emotionally numbs them. Much like the promiscuity promoted by the state in Huxley's book, modern pornography favors an individualized and isolated experience where momentary pleasure is achieved without the complexity of true relationships. In short, social media, processed foods, and pornography are contemporary variants of Huxley's soma, acting as forms of emotional and social control that facilitate conformity and minimize the desire for profound change. They offer a convenient and seductive escape, creating a society that is distracted, satisfied, and yet complacent, where critical reflection and the development of purpose are increasingly rare. If we stop to think about it, we can see how we are surrounded by modern somas that influence our behaviors and choices. These immediate pleasures pull us away from a purposeful life and keep us in a cycle of dependency, accepting superficiality in exchange for a false sense of freedom. The big question is, how can we escape this cycle? The answer lies in awareness and the pursuit of balance. We need moments of introspection and reconnection with what truly matters. This requires effort, but it is the price to pay for achieving genuine freedom. If this reflection resonated with you, don't forget to leave your comment below. We want to know your opinion. Do you think these escapes are a form of control? And of course, subscribe to the channel for more content on philosophy, psychology, and the impacts of technology on our lives.